Hey there, my name is Memo, this is my channel Houseplanty Goodness, and essentially it's a place where I like to geek out about my big passion and hopefully what might soon already be your big passion, which is tropical houseplants. So you might be able to see some of them behind me actually. As a new YouTube content creator, it does really help if you let me know if you like videos like this so I can bring more of the similar type of videos. So do drop a like down below if you like this. And if you are really getting into your houseplants at the moment and you're wanting to get more information like this, I talk a bit more about some scientific things as well, and I like to geek out with people here. Do consider subscribing. Every week, about 2 or 3 times a week, I'll bring out a video. But without further ado, going into today's topic, which you might be able to see here in front of me, and I'll see if I can bring it into the camera so hopefully it will focus. It is the Peperomia prostrata, or the string of turtles, and I'll try to move it even higher up so you might be able to see how long this vine is. Now, this is a plant that's kind of near and dear, and there's a story behind it for me, and I'll kind of just tell you briefly about it. So this was a plant that I got, and it was quite a full, bushy, trailing kind of plant pot, the ones that you get with the hooks at the top, essentially. And I got this from a plant nursery or plant garden center, actually, before it got really popular last year here, especially in the UK. You couldn't find these. You were finding 1 or 2 strands of this and it was selling for £5 or £10. And I'm just like, no. I got a very full plant for I think £15, which was great. It was probably only about this long, but there were struggles with that plant. And this is one of the few peperomias that survived in my care, and it's one because I've really tried hard to get it to work. I don't generally tend to have such a good experience with peperomia. I know there's a lot of YouTubers out there that really get and they love peperomias. Go check out their channel. Nick Pileggi is one of them, and Summer Rain Oaks. They're really both quite good and they love their peperomia, so they've probably got some good advice. I actually tried following a lot of their advice, but I still struggle a bit with mine. I think this is peperomia is generally a great type of plant for people that are a bit more forgetful with the watering. I tend to overlove my plants, which generally means I tend to overwater them a bit. Peperomias are really not that forgiving. But this plant specifically, the soil that it was in wasn't great. It was in plastic, so it wasn't getting through the moisture in the pot quickly enough. So I think it struggled a bit with rot. And then sometimes when I let it dry out too much, it'd start drying out. It just really wasn't ever very happy. So one day I just decided to go for the nuclear option. I chopped off everything. It was also starting to get pests at that point. I dealt with all the pests, and it can be quite tricky with something that is this dense and this many tiny foliage on the vine. It will also drop vines like mad. If you've got one of these, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The little turtles go running all the time. They're always trying to escape. You also might be able to see here, there are some inflorescences, and these on peperomias are generally called rat tails, and you might be able to see why. They're kind of a very small and skinny spadix. But with this, as I said, I chopped it back. I took off some of the bottom leaves on all the vines. I left all the other leaves. Normally I wouldn't do this on a plant because it would be taking up too much of its energy to maintain the leaves. But most of these leaves, these turtle shells, are actually quite succulent. So I thought, let's attempt it. Dumped the roots or the cut part of the stem into some water and left it there. And it just eventually grew roots. I put it into my light, airy, aroid soil mix. If you need a video on that, go check out my channel. It's there, and I talk about how I create mine. I think there's also a link that I've put on there now where you can see all the ingredients that I got from Amazon. And yeah, put it in some terracotta, and it has been growing very happily. This is in bright, indirect to medium light. I think it's more on the medium side now, and it's doing quite well. It did okay in the bright light as well. I don't think this would be okay with low light or even low to medium light, so just bear that in mind. At the moment, just to give you an understanding, even with the fine roots that you get with a lot of peperomia, this is still getting watered every 3 to 4 days, and I'm comfortable with that. Previously, in the big pot that it was getting to the point where it was getting watered once every 40 days. That gives you an idea of how long it was taking for that water to kind of really get absorbed by the plant. It wasn't evaporating because it wasn't in terracotta. The soil mix that was in it was horrendous. It's retaining too much moisture. But since I've moved it onto here, it's been much, much happier. As I said, one of the few peperomias that has survived in my care. And it's mainly because I was born in the 80s. I'm a bit of a 90s child. I was raised with things like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is great. This speaks to the child inside of me, essentially. And anybody else who was really into that cartoon, there's probably a soft spot in your heart as well for a plant like this. And another thing as well is, once I was growing up, I also had both tortoises and turtles, so both on land and in the water. And yeah, I think a plant like this, I just had to give it another chance and see if I could kind of get it to grow. But yeah, this is a bit more about the Peperomia prostrata of the string of turtles. If you've got any questions, comments, see how you're growing it in your environment and you want to share it with people, please do down below in the comments. We're building a nice little community where people are actually discussing things down below, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully I shall see you here soon. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks. Bye.